In the heart of the remote countryside, shrouded in an eternal fog and surrounded by gnarled, skeletal trees, stood the decaying remnants of what was once a grand mansion. This forsaken place, known as Blackwood Manor, was notorious as the most haunted location in the world. Its grim reputation was etched into the annals of supernatural lore, a sinister tale that sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. Centuries ago, Blackwood Manor belonged to the enigmatic Blackwood family, whose dark secrets and forbidden rituals cast an unholy shadow over the estate. It was said that the family had made a pact with malevolent forces, trading their souls for unimaginable power. In return, the malevolence seeped into the very stones of the mansion, infesting it with a presence so vile that even the bravest of men dared not approach. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the manor awakened, coming alive with eerie whispers that echoed through the empty halls. The walls seemed to pulse with a sinister energy, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly chill. Those who ventured too close claimed to hear the tortured cries of the Blackwoods, their souls forever trapped within the mansion's decaying walls. The legends spoke of a cursed room within the manor, a chamber adorned with ancient symbols and adorned with macabre artifacts. It was said that anyone who dared to enter would be plagued by nightmares so horrifying that they would lose their sanity. The very bravest souls who attempted to spend a night within that room were never seen again, their fate sealed by the malevolent spirits that roamed the halls. One fateful night, a group of daring ghost hunters decided to unravel the mysteries of Blackwood Manor. Armed with an array of spectral detection devices and their unyielding courage, they ventured into the heart of darkness. As they crossed the threshold, the atmosphere turned oppressive, suffocating them with an overwhelming sense of dread. With each step they took, the air grew colder, and the shadows seemed to writhe and contort, taking on sinister forms. Whispers filled their ears, urging them to leave, but they pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. They entered the cursed room, their flashlight beams illuminating the ancient symbols that adorned the walls. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and an otherworldly wail pierced the silence. The room seemed to come alive, its walls pulsating with an ethereal glow. The ghost hunters felt an invisible force closing in around them, squeezing the very breath from their lungs. Terrified, they tried to flee, but the door slammed shut, trapping them inside. As the night wore on, the spirits of the Blackwood family materialized, their faces contorted in agony and rage. They moaned and screamed, their voices mingling with the howling wind outside. Objects levitated and flew across the room, crashing into the walls with a deafening noise. The ghost hunters huddled together, paralyzed with fear, as the malevolent entities tormented them. In the pitch-black darkness, they saw glowing eyes watching them from every corner, and ghostly apparitions floated through the air, their transparent forms flickering in and out of existence. The air was thick with the stench of decay and despair, and the room seemed to warp and twist, distorting their sense of reality. The leader of the group, a seasoned paranormal investigator, desperately tried to communicate with the spirits, hoping to find a way to appease them. But the entities were beyond reason, consumed by their eternal torment. Shadows lunged at the ghost hunters, clawing at their flesh and whispering maledictions in long-forgotten languages. Time lost all meaning within the confines of the cursed room. The ghost hunters endured what felt like an eternity of terror, their minds on the verge of collapse. Just as they were about to succumb to madness, the first light of dawn pierced the darkness, banishing the malevolent spirits back into the depths of the manor. When the authorities finally dared to enter the room, they found the ghost hunters huddled in a corner, their eyes vacant and their bodies emaciated. They were alive, but their minds were shattered, their sanity forever lost to the horrors they had witnessed. The tale of Blackwood Manor spread far and wide, a cautionary tale whispered by the fireside on dark and stormy nights. The mansion remained a forbidden place, a testament to the darkness that lurked within the human soul and the terrifying power of the supernatural. And so, Blackwood Manor stood, a grim reminder of the most haunted place in the world, its secrets buried within its crumbling walls, waiting for the next unfortunate soul to unlock the door to the unknown and face the horrors that lay beyond. In the depths of the dense, foreboding forests of Transylvania, shrouded in an eternal fog and hidden from the prying eyes of the world, there stood an ancient mansion known as Blackwood Manor. It was whispered through the wind that this decaying relic was the most haunted place in the world, a sanctuary for the malevolent spirits that once roamed the earth. The manor was a monolithic structure, its once grand facades now marred by centuries of decay. The windows, like hollow eye sockets, gazed out into the darkness, revealing nothing but the void beyond. The mere mention of Blackwood Manor sent shivers down the spines of the bravest souls, for the tales that surrounded it were the stuff of nightmares. Legend had it that the manor was cursed from its very inception, built upon an ancient burial ground where vengeful spirits lay restless, disturbed by the intrusion of the living. The air around the manor was heavy with the stench of death and decay, and the shadows that danced on its walls seemed to be alive, whispering ancient secrets to anyone who dared to listen. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an eerie crimson glow upon the landscape, the manor came alive with a malevolent energy. Doors creaked open of their own accord, revealing pitch-black corridors that led to nowhere. The flickering candlelight in the grand foyer cast grotesque shadows upon the walls, resembling twisted figures that seemed to move and sway with a sinister rhythm. Those unfortunate enough to venture into Blackwood Manor spoke of chilling encounters with the supernatural. The ghostly apparitions of long-dead inhabitants roamed the halls, their hollow eyes filled with a deep sadness and eternal despair. The anguished wails of tortured souls echoed through the corridors, sending a wave of terror through anyone who dared to listen. But it was not just the spirits of the dead that haunted the manor. An ancient evil lurked within its walls, a malevolent force that fed on fear and despair. The very atmosphere was suffused with dread, and those who entered the manor felt a heavy pressure upon their chests, as if the darkness itself sought to crush the life from their bodies. One fateful night, a group of intrepid paranormal investigators decided to unlock the secrets of Blackwood Manor once and for all. Armed with cameras, EMF detectors, and their unyielding determination, they ventured into the heart of the haunted mansion, unaware of the horrors that awaited them. As they delved deeper into the manor's depths, the temperature plummeted, and an otherworldly silence settled over the group. Whispers echoed through the halls, growing louder and more insistent with each step they took. Shadows slithered along the walls, reaching out with ghostly fingers that grazed their skin, sending icy tendrils of fear down their spines. Suddenly, the air grew thick with a palpable malevolence. The investigators felt an unseen presence surrounding them, squeezing the very air from their lungs. Their flashlights flickered and died, plunging them into total darkness. The temperature dropped further, and an otherworldly voice filled the void, whispering ancient incantations that chilled them to the bone. Panic set in as the investigators fumbled for their equipment, desperate to capture evidence of the supernatural. But their cameras malfunctioned, capturing only distorted images of the spectral figures that surrounded them. The EMF detectors screamed with activity, indicating a powerful paranormal presence, yet the source remained elusive. In the midst of the chaos, a blood-curdling scream pierced the air. One of the investigators, a brave soul named Sarah, was lifted off her feet by an unseen force, her body contorting in unnatural ways. The others watched in horror as she was dragged down the corridor, her fingernails leaving deep gouges in the ancient, decaying walls. Driven by sheer terror, the remaining investigators fled, their footsteps echoing through the manor as they raced toward the exit. But the malevolent force that dwelled within Blackwood Manor was not so easily outrun. The very walls seemed to close in around them, the corridors twisting and shifting like a nightmarish labyrinth designed to ensnare them. One by one, the investigators were claimed by the darkness. Their terrified screams were swallowed by the endless expanse of the manor, their fates sealed by the ancient curse that bound them to the haunted mansion. Their bodies were never found, lost to the depths of Blackwood Manor, their souls forever trapped in the abyss. And so, Blackwood Manor remained, its reputation as the most haunted place in the world solidified by the horrifying events that took place within its walls. None dared to approach the decaying mansion, for fear that they too would become victims of the malevolent spirits that called it home. The legend of Blackwood Manor served as a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked in the hidden corners of the world, a testament to the enduring power of the supernatural. It stood as a warning to all who dared to tempt fate, a stark reminder that some mysteries were better left unsolved, and some places were never meant to be explored. In the remote, fog-shrouded hills of Scotland, there stood a grand mansion known as Blackwood Manor. It was whispered among the locals that this was the most haunted place in the world, a residence cursed by centuries of malevolent spirits. Legends told of its origins, dating back to a time when dark rituals and unspeakable horrors stained the land. The story began in the 17th century, when a nefarious alchemist named Edgar Blackwood sought to unlock the secrets of immortality. Obsessed with the idea of eternal life, he delved into forbidden arts, sacrificing countless innocent lives in the process. It was said that the mansion was built atop a sprawling network of catacombs, where the souls of his victims were imprisoned, cursed to haunt the corridors of Blackwood Manor for eternity. As the years passed, the mansion gained a reputation for its eerie happenings. Lights flickered in windows long after the house had been abandoned, and anguished cries echoed through the night. Locals avoided the area, fearing the wrath of the vengeful spirits that roamed the grounds. In the 19th century, a brave and curious historian named Evelyn Hartley dared to uncover the truth behind the legends. Armed with a lantern and a resolve as unyielding as the stone walls of Blackwood Manor, she ventured into the decaying mansion, her footsteps echoing through the empty halls. As she explored, she felt an oppressive atmosphere settle around her, as if the very air was infused with sorrow and despair. In the dead of night, Evelyn stumbled upon a hidden chamber deep within the catacombs. It was there that she discovered Edgar Blackwood's diaries, filled with his deranged ramblings about immortality and the souls he had imprisoned. The walls seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, and the temperature plummeted as if the very essence of the underworld had seeped into the room. Suddenly, the spirits awakened. Glowing eyes appeared in the darkness, and skeletal hands reached out for Evelyn, their fingers cold as death. Whispers filled the chamber, a cacophony of lamentation and rage. The spirits, trapped for centuries, hungered for release, their anguish driving them to madness. Evelyn, paralyzed with fear, felt a ghostly hand brush against her cheek. She closed her eyes, reciting ancient prayers in a desperate attempt to ward off the malevolent entities. But the spirits were relentless, their spectral forms merging and writhing like a grotesque dance of the damned. With a sudden burst of courage, Evelyn recited an incantation she had found in Blackwood's diaries, hoping to quell the spirits' fury. The chamber trembled, and a blinding light enveloped the room, banishing the ghosts back into the shadows. The air grew still, and the temperature returned to normal. But the ordeal was far from over. As Evelyn made her way back to the surface, she realized that the spirits had been unleashed upon the world. No longer confined to Blackwood Manor, they spread their malevolence far and wide, haunting anyone who dared to cross their path. People reported sightings of ghastly apparitions, and tales of the haunted mansion reached far-off lands. The world was now plagued by the wrath of the spirits, and there was no escape from their relentless pursuit. Those who encountered them spoke of the unbearable chill in the air, the overwhelming sense of dread that settled in their hearts. The haunted souls of Blackwood Manor had become an unstoppable force, a terrifying reminder of the consequences of meddling with the forces beyond the veil. And so, the tale of Blackwood Manor echoed through the ages, a cautionary story whispered by parents to their children, a chilling campfire legend that sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. For in the darkest corners of the world, the spirits of the most haunted place in the world continued their eternal hunt, their anguished cries echoing through the night, a haunting reminder of the horrors that lurked just beyond the realm of the living. In the heart of the mist-covered Scottish Highlands, hidden amidst the ancient, gnarled trees and shrouded in an eternal darkness, lies the most haunted place in the world, Ravenswood Manor, abandoned for centuries. Its decaying grandeur serves as a chilling reminder of a bygone era, a time when unspeakable horrors plagued the land. Legend had it that Ravenswood Manor was cursed, its stone walls steeped in the blood of countless victims. Its history was marred by tragedy, and whispers of ghostly apparitions and malevolent spirits echoed through the ages. The manor was said to be a magnet for lost souls, drawn to its malevolence like moths to a flame. One fateful night, a group of paranormal investigators, undeterred by the ominous tales, decided to unravel the mysteries of Ravenswood Manor. They ventured into the depths of the Highlands, their footsteps echoing eerily as they approached the forsaken estate. As they crossed the threshold, the temperature plummeted, and an icy grip settled upon their hearts. The air was thick with a palpable sense of dread, and the very atmosphere seemed to reverberate with the anguished cries of the departed. Their investigation began innocently enough. Armed with cameras, electronic voice recorders, and other ghost-hunting paraphernalia, they explored the manor's shadowy corridors and desolate chambers. Unbeknownst to them, the spirits that dwelled within Ravenswood Manor were restless, hungry for revenge and desperate to share their tragic tales. Soon, the investigators started experiencing inexplicable phenomena. Doors slammed shut on their own, and eerie whispers filled the air. Cold, skeletal fingers brushed against their skin, leaving trails of frostbite in their wake. Unseen forces tugged at their clothes, pulling them deeper into the labyrinthine maze of the manor. As night fell, the true horror began. Apparitions of long-dead lords and ladies materialized before their eyes, their hollow sockets staring into the very souls of the living. The air was thick with the stench of decay, and guttural, otherworldly moans reverberated through the darkness. One by one, the investigators were tormented by the vengeful spirits. They were dragged into hidden chambers, their anguished cries drowned out by the maniacal laughter of the ghosts that haunted Ravenswood Manor. Shadows danced along the walls, contorting into grotesque shapes that mocked the living. In a desperate bid to escape, the remaining investigators sought refuge in the manor's dilapidated chapel, believing that the consecrated ground would shield them from the supernatural onslaught. But even within the hallowed sanctuary, they found no solace. The chapel's once vibrant stained glass windows now depicted scenes of unspeakable horror. The faces of saints contorted into masks of agony, and the blood of martyrs seemed to run like rivers. The altar, once a symbol of divine grace, now pulsed with an unholy energy, casting a malevolent glow upon the terrified investigators. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, and the very walls of the chapel groaned in agony. The spirits of Ravenswood Manor, enraged by the intrusion, had awakened a malevolent force that had lain dormant for centuries. The chapel's floor cracked open, revealing a yawning chasm that led to the bowels of the earth. With nowhere left to run, the investigators were pulled into the abyss, their screams merging with the cacophony of tortured souls. Ravenswood Manor, sated with the blood of the living, fell silent once more, its cursed halls waiting patiently for the next unsuspecting victims to cross its threshold. And so, the tale of Ravenswood Manor became a cautionary legend, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurked in the darkest corners of the world. Those who heard the story whispered in hushed tones, vowing never to venture into the Scottish Highlands, lest they too become lost to the malevolent spirits that called Ravenswood Manor their eternal home.